Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. This is a podcast where we rewatch and celebrate the goodness that is parks and recreation. And my name is Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
You know what? It is a new day in America because today is Friday, and every day is a new day. We're all time travelers. We can only go one direction. Speaking of
So
One
far.
Direction, so far, yeah. You watched Primer, right? Or Primer?
Primer, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great time travel movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So today we are
Wait,
jumping.
hold on, sorry.
Okay.
I felt like you were going to go in. You were going to say something about the boy band One Direction.
I was thinking about it.
And you're like, I have no exit strategy for this.
Here's one of the problems with pop culture. I hear things, but I don't know what they are. And so,
okay.
I don't know any One Direction songs. I know Harry Styles is a former member of One Direction. I don't even know if they really actually broke up. Are they just on a hiatus? I don't know. I know that Harry Styles drives a lot of people crazy because he is ambiguous. But yeah, he's a good singer, and he is in a sketch that I love from SNL where he plays 80 Bryant's dog. And it's awesome. So that's all I know about it. What do you know about One Direction?
Everything that you just told me.
Huh. Wow. I'm an educator. Yeah. So, I mean, I started the whole thing, and I was just like, I shouldn't keep going down this road. So I'm glad that you brought it back up. That's what friends are for.
Yeah.
There are some things in this episode that made me think of you, and I'll bring those up too.
Oh, great.
So it's going to be great.
Fantastic.
Also, we are very rarely, I mean, because we record and then we post it about a week later, current events are not something that we talk about often on Parks and Conversation. But this week, Joe Biden was inaugurated as the 46th president of the United States so far. And I don't know about you, but as a Parks and Rec fan, I was really excited for Leslie.
Yes. I think, and that's worth talking about. Like, if it had been anybody else, we'd be like, oh, whatever. It's Joe Biden. I mean, just because of the connection with Leslie, it makes sense.
Yeah. And that hasn't fully been developed here in the show so far.
Right.
But she loves Joe Biden, and so I was just as I was watching the inauguration, I was just like, man, Leslie must be really, really stoked right now. And then I remembered she's not real. And then I also remembered none of this is real. It's all a simulation, and so it's all fine. Don't worry about it. It's a glitch in the matrix. So. I'm really derailing pretty quick right away.
Right on schedule.
Yeah. You know what, though? Speaking of derailing, we had some listener email, and I was delighted by this. And so, listener, thank you for sending emails to us. And, it's not just like my mom saying like, hey, stop talking about me on your podcast anymore. And like, she stopped doing that. And so I wanted to read some of these emails. Is that all right, Jeremy?
It's fine by me.
All right. So it's great to get the listener to hear their own name early, and then they download and then they leave.
Right.
That's why we're also going to do all of our ads early. So just kidding. We don't have sponsors. No one wants any responsibility for this. So this is from listener Wade. And he said that he's catching up on the podcast and he's really enjoying the show. And I just want to highlight this thing right here. You guys fit my sense of humor so well, and I think you're hilarious. And that, he could have stopped there, but he kept going to say that he found us through Spotify. So thank you, Spotify. And it was recommended because he listens to Scrubs and The Office rewatch podcasts. And so
a fellow Scrubs fan. Awesome.
Yeah. So maybe you and Wade, when we're done with this project, you guys can start a podcast for Scrubs.
Yeah. Scrubs is great. Anybody who doesn't like Scrubs is wrong.
I'm sure it's funny. My wife won't let me watch it. So,
okay.
And then he also is encouraging in this email. He says, I think it's just a matter of time before people discover your podcast and flock to it, which that'd be fun to see a flock of people coming to a digital thing. Thank you guys for what you do. And then he has a postscript. He's a data science student, and he's putting together a side project using dialogue from the show
Oh man.
And I replied to this email saying, I need to know what that means.
Yeah.
So
What is data science?
yeah, and is it from our show or is it from Parks and Conversation or Parks and Recreation? Like, what is this show and what is data science? And I got to see what this is. Is he making like infographics from Parks and Rec? Because I am for it.
And also, while you're at it, how do magnets work?
There's no way to know. There's a
All right.
couple of educational clowns who wrote a song about it.
Okay.
It's called Miracles and Magic by Insane Clown Posse. And if you are thinking about watching this with your children, I know I said clowns, they're not for children. So, but it is a pretty amazing song in how terrible it is. So, and then another email from listener Brienne, who is coming from all the way from Puyallup. And that's how you say it, people from out of town. Puyallup, and she sent to us her top 3 episodes from season 2, which we asked listeners to do, and so Brienne sent hers. Her number 3 is Sister City. She says she totally forgot about that. Plus, Fred Armisen is great in everything he does. This city was planned. Number
That is
2.
true. That's true.
I was just watching something with Fred Armisen in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He showed up in an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and my kids were so excited, and they said, "Venezuela, my country." Like that's not what he's doing here.
He was in a small arc in The Last Man on Earth with Will Forte, who was just in the last episode. And I don't know if you ever watched that. It was phenomenal because he was the last. He got trapped in a jail. It was fantastic.
Fred Armisen was trapped in a jail where everybody else was gone.
Yes.
Oh, and that sounds awful.
And he was well, I don't want to spoil it, but if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's really funny.
Yeah, I watched the first season of that, and then I got distracted by something shiny, and I never came back around to it. But the big problem with that show for me is like, and I'm sure they did this on purpose, but like, there's no bodies. Like, everybody's gone, but like, it's way too clean for everybody just to like be gone, so it bothered me.
You went more like Walking Dead, just littered landscape of bones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Merry Christmas. Number 2 from Brienne is Greg Pikitis. She loves the plot twist in this one and maybe the funniest joke in the whole season. Greg Pikitis is telling Dave why he loves to mess with Leslie so much because she gets all worked up and scrunches her face all angry. And then they look over and she's glaring at them with that face. What? And it gets her every time. And then number 1 is Telethon. This made her number 1, not just because it's so full of insanity of everyone showing off their, quote, talents during the telethon, but because of the ending when Leslie drives to Anne's house, parking on her front lawn after her shift. They talk and she falls asleep for 22 hours, all the while sweet Anne is checking her vitals and making sure she's okay, but still draws a mustache on her face. Total friend goals, and I just love them. So thank you, Brienne, for your email. And Wade, thank you for your email. And if you are a listener and you want to send us an email, send that to parksandconversation at gmail.com. parksandconversation@gmail.com. So with all that said, let's get into the meat of this episode. We are on season 3, episode 4, Ron and Tammy 2. And I need to preface, whenever Tammy is on the show, they're gross. It's in my notes.
Yeah, but again, just a reminder, they are married in real life, which again, I know that for a lot of people, the jokes are over the top, uncomfortable, probably not the best one to watch with young kids and stuff. But again, if in the back of my mind, knowing that they're a married couple at this point, watching them go through, it just looks like a really fun, like what a fun way to be actors together and try to gross out all of your friends at the same time.
And people you don't even know.
Sure.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Because I've never met these people, and I think they're gross. So they have totally convinced me of their grossness. And the show starts with a collections officer coming to see Ron Swanson in the Parks Department office. And he's coming because the library has put out a collections notice against Ron for a library book that is, to put it gently, belittling his body.
Ron's manhood, if you were.
Ron's manhood, yes. And so he has late fees for this book. And so Ron knows instantly it's Tammy. She's checking in on him, trying to see how he's doing. And so Ron is like, one of the things he says is like, I've never checked out a book from the library. So
Right.
I love just the hatred for the library continues throughout this whole show. And here Ron's just like, I've never checked out a book from the library, which is good. And then he goes to confront Tammy at the library, librarian's office, the whatever, her office, and tells her like, hey, clear the charges. And she all the while is trying to tempt him with slapping her face with beef jerky and just real gross behavior.
I love it. She's bent over in the scene. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was checking for scoliosis."
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd even do that. Usually it takes like a trained professional to help you with that.
The last time I was checked for scoliosis was in elementary school. And
Right.
It was like, I think it's one of those things that I'm sure it's a real condition that people suffer with.
Mhm.
But I feel like it was something that was worked into the teachers union to say, hey, every teacher needs a little break from time to time. So on the third Wednesday of October, we're going to send the kids into the nurse's office for lice checks. And on the fourth Friday of November is a scoliosis check.
Mhm.
And then in December, it's the hearing check. It's just one of those things. So like, we know we can't give you more recesses. So here's a break for you from these kids. How do you think that theory holds up?
Yeah, it's totally makes sense. Like in ours, we had optional exorcisms day. We also did we had the eye test to see. We also tested to see if anybody had any extra like powers. Like they would do the thing in the opening of Ghostbusters where to see if you could like know what the card was without looking at it, and we would get shocked if we didn't. So I mean, yeah, there is lots of. I don't know if that was the same for you, but.
No,
Yeah.
but I didn't go to Christian school.
Oh yeah, well that's probably okay. That's good. Good for you. Look at how our paths diverged in life. See how that works.
Yeah, I went to a public school where they affirmed all of those things. So
right, exactly. Do you know magic? Yeah, it's
yeah, all important stuff. So Leslie also goes with Ron to confront Tammy, and Tammy intimidates Leslie like right away. She's like, this is not good. But Ron is like, I'm impervious to your temptations. I'm in a healthy relationship. And so like, it's like, wow, Tom or Ron, you've really, you've really matured here. Like I was really proud of Ron in this moment as I was watching again, just knowing his journey with the crazy that is Tammy. And so as, so Leslie's intimidated as she's leaving. She can barely even finish a sentence. So good cold open. And it's a cold open that sets up the conflict for this whole episode. And so I appreciate that. It's not just a random thing that's happening. And it's funny. And then credits comes back, and Leslie is planning a pizza party for cops to ask them to volunteer for Harvest Fest security. And I do love that, like, every person in the world, if invited to a pizza party, will say yes. I just know I know it to be true. Like, yeah, I love pizza. I will go.
Even lactose intolerant people, because they could eat breadsticks.
Well, no, but it's worth the pain. It's worth it.
Just power through.
Yeah. I mean, pizza is a gift from the Lord. And when we embrace the gift from the Lord and enjoy the pizza, it's like any suffering that this pizza might bring upon my digestive tract, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. It's part of my journey.
But what about a healthy salad?
No. And that good way to bring us back on track because Ben is offering some suggestions for this party. Like they're trying to figure out what kind of pizza to order, and Ben offers, what if we brought like had some healthy salad, and everybody's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He will later suggest the calzones, and again, everybody's like, that's stupid. Nobody likes calzones. We're gonna come to find out.
It's just pizza it's harder to eat.
Yeah, it's useless. We're gonna come to find out that Ben really loves calzones. Loves them.
Where are you on the calzone pizza, spectrum voting?
Yeah. Well, I really have to feel like no shame if I'm going to order a calzone. Like I have to be in a place where I'm like, I'm okay with my life choices at this point because it's just so much bread. It's so much bread. It's so much just work. And so they are tasty, but it is like eating this is going to take forever. And so I have to really commit to it. Where are you on the calzone?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge cheese hot pocket. I mean, it's a giant hot pocket, really, is what it is. And then you dip it into the marinara. So, I think I'm for it. There's times I'm like, I really like a calzone. It's fun. It's a little bit different, mixes it up. But I it's not that I agree that they're useless, but definitely as far as like ease of consumption, pizza's the way to go.
Yeah, because a slice of pizza you can fashion into a calzone by just folding it in half a little bit, right? Like you get this similar effect.
Like a pizza roll.
Yeah. I did see that Papa John's has the pizzadilla, which is basically like a pizza sandwich, which I know a calzone is a pizza sandwich in its own way. But the thing about the calzone that like really throws me over the top is the additional crust ridge where you tuck in so like the fillings of the calzone don't come out. Like that is where I see that I'm like, that is just a lot of bread to eat.
Yeah.
And so that's part of why I have a hard time getting into it. But the pizzadilla looks like it could be a good compromise because it's like it's just the two pieces of pizza put together, right?
Yeah, it looks like a giant pizza taco.
Oh yeah. Oh man. I love tacos and pizza. And it comes back to my theory that every culture has a flatbread food product. And if we could just get on board with recognizing the beauty of the flatbread food product, so the taco, the burrito, the pizza, shawarma, pitas, all of these different like ways that food is delivered to us on flatbread, I think we would have a better culture, a better world.
Yeah, we'd have peace. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We could call it the Flatbread Society.
Yeah, I would. I would. Maybe those flatbreaders are onto something. So,
yeah, who knows?
But part of the reason why they need all of this security is mainly because something about outdoor events, it encourages people to pee on everything. And so Leslie is trying to throw this pizza party for the cops to get the police to make sure people don't pee on everything, which is a good call. And while they're in this pizza party planning meeting, which is my rap album name, DJ Jason, the pizza party planning meeting. It's gonna be fire, my friends. Ron is interrupted because his girlfriend Wendy comes, and Wendy is Tom's ex-wife. Listener, remember? And I love Ron. He's like, I'm gonna go get a quick pre-lunch with my lady friend. And don't worry, I'll be back for lunch later. So,
which is hilarious because the other 2 episodes ago, I think it was, he tells Andy, he's like, I'm famished. I haven't had lunch since yesterday. So Ron really, really loves his lunch.
Well, the midday meal is one of the most important 6 meals of the day.
Exactly.
So what about second breakfast? So he takes off, and Ben is like, wow, Wendy is really, really beautiful. And Andy is laughing. Is like, that's Tom's ex-wife. So I find that hilarious.
I just think it's so funny because Andy misses so much. Like, I don't know, these like, cues in social situations, but that one, he was like all over, like, oh man, that's awkward. let me point it out and make it a little bit more awkward. And he's looking right at the back of Tom's head the whole time. It's so funny.
So that will be part of the problem. So we've got some instigating tension here in this episode. We've got Tammy out in the ether somewhere. We've got Ron dating Tom's ex-wife, who it was a green card marriage, and Tom has feelings for Wendy, but Wendy does not have feelings for Tom. It's a whole thing. There's going to be tension. But before we go too far down the road of that tension, we also find that April is working as Chris's assistant.
Oh, man.
And the most important task right now is to order more Post-it notes, but no orange. I have plenty of orange. And
have you ever owned a different color of Post-it note other than light yellow?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But the reason I've never asked for any other colors of Post-it note, but they get lumped in when you like at the office, like they will order things and they just order a bundle of Post-it notes. And I'm not like in charge of requisition of Post-it notes. Like I don't have the kind of authority that April has in this show. And so I can't say. I don't even know what's going to happen. Here comes some Post-it notes and it's like, green. Green is hard to read. It's hard to read on any color other than the light yellow. So I don't know why people get the different colors, but I do have these really cool. I'm looking in my office right now. It might be behind my monitor. These really cool like flags. Yeah, found it. I can't see behind my monitor, so I'm just going by feel. But this is a visual medium here. But they're different color flags that are like the same Post-it note material that is great for marking up books that you're borrowing from other people that they probably don't want you to write in. I love those. So yeah, but that's it. I would never write on any other color of Post-it note if I had a choice.
Okay.
So April, she does not seem to be enjoying working for Chris at this point. But he does give her a job on an orange Post-it note that says, "Great job." So go back to wherever they're eating.
Chris is just immune to April's sarcasm too, because she's like, "Oh, okay, so order 50 million more orange Post-it." I was like, "Ha, that's hilarious." And she's like,
Well, Chris is just a delighted person. Like, whatever's happening, it's literally the best. So yeah, he's great. And so they cut to Ron and Wendy eating pre-lunch, and she tells him that she's going to be moving back home to Canada to help her aging parents. And so this relationship is, a healthy relationship that is starting to fall apart here. And she invites Ron to move to Canada, and he almost spits coffee out of his nose. Like the whole idea of moving to Canada is preposterous. And
no, I don't think I will.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's like really putting herself out there with him, and he just laughs at her in her face, basically. So that's pre-lunch. And then we fast forward in time to the pizza party. So we missed the rest of the workday. I'm sure there was stuff that happened. Like, did she get those Post-it notes? So they go to the bar, and Ben wonders when they should ask the chief for this huge favor. And Leslie's got a whole plan of exactly when the food is happening and between how many drinks he may have had and all that kind of stuff. So she's got it under control. Then we see Ron at the bar, and Wendy is he's telling him that Wendy is leaving just after he taught her how to whittle. She made this pointed stick, which is bent. It's a bent stick. It's just like, this is really, she's not good at this.
He just taught her, man. Give her a break.
I don't know how much learning you need to not make it a bent stick. Like if you're whittling, you can make it straighter.
Yeah, and plus, I don't want to be, what is it, countryist? I don't even know the term for it, but I'm really not trying to be insulting, but doesn't every Canadian ever born know how to whittle?
I would think so. I think
you don't want,
you're trying not to be a xenophobe.
Yeah.
Like Canadians are very different than us. Yeah. There was a game.
Yes, Xenophobia
on the Nintendo. Yeah, remember that?
It was in the art. It was pretty a side scroller with aliens. You go through the doors on each end.
Yes, it was so hard.
It was very difficult.
So we don't want to be xenophobes. Go back to Canada, Wendy. so the pizza
I, I,
party's
I
happening.
love I love Canada, by the way. I really do. It's a
I
beautiful
used to love
country.
Canada when I could go there. Someday we'll go to
It's
Canada
true.
again. Uh,
Someday. Sorry,
someday.
pizza party. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So the pizza party's happening. Ron's there. People are showing up. It's gonna be. It looks like it's gonna be a great event. And then it cuts back to Anne and Chris, and they're on a date. And Anne is really excited about this relationship. She's feeling great, and it's not just because of all the supplements Chris makes her take. And she says, like, Chris is going to be moving back to Indianapolis soon, and I really like him, and if he asked me to move there, I would. And so we see, like, wow, there could be some major changes coming for Ann Perkins, which is, it's neat to see. Ann is happy, Chris is happy, everyone's happy except for Ron and April. But then they order, and I love how Chris orders his food. Like, he knows exactly what he wants and how he wants it. And he's a very assertive person.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Anne then also practicing this assertiveness. And so it's like, oh, wow, he's helping Anne be more assertive in her life. It's good, right? It's all good.
And keeping her regular.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which I think is a major part of assertiveness. Like, I will have a regular bowel movement. So
I almost think you almost don't have to be as assertive at that point. Just
maybe
kind of happens.
Just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. Yeah. So we then cuts back to the bar, and we see that Ben is super nervous around cops. And this is where I thought, this reminds me of Jeremy. when Jeremy gets nervous, he gets rambly.
Very true. Very true.
Starts making jokes that are just a little what? Nothing inappropriate, but just like, why that right now? So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you've made it this far in the podcast, you've experienced it a couple times. Like, okay.
Yeah. So Ben's relationship with the cops is the most Jeremy thing about this whole show. And so every time, yeah, instantly sweaty, like
sweaty, sweat. It's great. It's nailed it.
Yeah, but I won't go too far into that. So then at the pizza party, Tom shows up with Tammy, and she keeps calling him Glenn.
Well,
and
yes, but also the cop just because it comes back is that the cop Ben is like so nervous, and he's like, well, what about calzones? Like somehow yes. He wedges calzones into it, and the cop's like, what's his problem? Like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, and that'll come back. That'll right. be an important part in a moment. But so then Tom shows up with Tammy, and they're both just trying to make Ron jealous. And Ron just says to Tom right away, "You're in over your head. Like, this is a force you do not want to mess with." And they get into an argument, and Tammy hits Ron, and they're surrounded by cops. And I love this talking head because right away they all give their statements to the media, and they're all like matter of fact, succinct statements, like 5'10", portly fellow, mustache, beard. It was a domestic altercation of some nature, and they all end with "real piece of work." I'm talking about
real
Tammy,
piece of work.
Real piece of work. Yeah, and so did
you notice in the background they were playing "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult? And I don't know if that was on I feel like it was on purpose. So because that's when Tammy showed up. It's like, okay, she's got her own theme song in a sense. And the other thing I was going to say too is, like, this is the second time Ron's tried to help out Tom. Like, remember with the pepper? Don't eat. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't recommend that, son. So it's like, why doesn't Tom listen to Ron? He knows what's up.
Yeah, Ron is right. And Tom is just being belligerent because Tom is a man-child, and he needs to learn from his mistakes.
That's true.
And so Ron is trying to protect him, and he even takes a slap for him. Like Tammy is taking out the aggression on Ron, and so that's intense. And so they leave, and they say, "We're going to go get a cup of coffee. We're going to talk things out." And it's like, oh, wow, okay, this is a very mature response.
Yeah, but Leslie's she's like terrified.
Yeah.
You see in her eyes.
Mm-hmm. Bad things are afoot.
Mm-hmm.
And so cut to the next morning, and we find that Tom, Ron, and Tammy were arrested, and they're in jail, and they are making out between the bars of the prison. Overnight, they got married, and Ron got cornrows. So it's a lot. They got arrested because they broke into the records office to steal a wedding certificate, and I don't know where they found a chapel or a judge to do this wedding this late at night, but they found somebody who would do this, and they got married, and they immediately just started to have adult times in the courthouse. And so the chief says we had no other choice but to arrest them. So like, yep, that's good call.
So I had to look up, like, Ron actually, or Nick Offerman actually had cornrows done to his hair. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about that, like, cornrows. And so I looked it up real quick just to see it. And you don't need super long hair to have cornrows. And I guess Ron or Nick Offerman said, took about a half an hour for the styling department to do it. And it felt like a really intense head massage.
Yeah. Wow. Would you ever do that?
Well, I mean, here's the crazy thing. Growing up, going on like missions trips to Mexico, there would be girls who would do cornrows because they didn't have to like wash their hair for a week. But then later, there's like this whole cultural appropriation thing. And so I don't know. I mean, it's not a look that I would do as like a statement for myself. Like, hey, look at my cornrows. But I guess it makes sense from a practical standpoint, maybe. But I don't know. So probably not. I don't know. You don't.
No, never.
You need like 2 inches of hair to do it, roughly. Yeah, that's what I found out.
I don't think I'm ever gonna be in that ballpark of hair length again.
Yeah, I'd probably do dreads before I did cornrows.
Oh no, don't. Don't. I'm your friend. Please, don't. Listen, Annie DeFranco, please.
Just look at how much.
Don't.
Just look at how much water you save by not washing your hair ever.
Yeah, and think about how much money you're going to save when you don't have any more friends to buy gifts for.
That's true. Ooh, wow, all positives.
Yeah, the dreads on the white hipster, not a good look.
Yeah,
Adam Duritz, come on, dude. Yeah. Yeah, so this is not a good scene with Ron. I love though that he's wearing cornrows and a kimono. Mm-hmm. So we talk about cultural appropriation, and he's really going for it.
All the cultures,
as many cultures as he can get in Pawnee. And so,
did you read the trivia for this episode?
No.
At all. So on IMDb, it says the kimono Ron's wearing is an authentic Japanese kimono, but interesting, it is a kimono meant specifically for married women. which knowing Tammy, like the way Tammy has Ron, like kind of, under her spell right now, is a really funny. If they really meant to do that, so yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
So it cuts to Chris's office, and Chris asks April to cancel lunch with Anne, and April just pretends to make the call because she is trying to sabotage their relationship because nobody can be happy around April. Then cuts back to the police station, and Leslie says, "Look, I need to ask you a favor. Can you release Ron into my custody?" And the chief says, "Yeah, absolutely. And just make sure that he stays 500 feet from any library." And I love Leslie's response, like, "That's good advice for everybody." Good advice for everybody. So Ben at this moment also calls the chief bro. So you gotta grow.
I know. Like, it's just like she admonishes him. It's so great. But he also is like, he gives her the side eye, like, no, you can't. Like, he starts to say, don't use your favor. Like, that's what all last night, and now you've used it to get Ron out. Now we're back to square one. Which I think is important for later.
If they can't get the police, they can't do the event. They need security for the event. And so there's like, Ben is very worried about making sure this can happen. Mm-hmm. Leslie has no worries about this. at all. But
No,
she
because her
also knows how Pawnee works.
right. Yeah, but her priority is her friend,
Mm-hmm.
so we know Leslie's, as much as she wants the political stuff and all of the township to go forward with the festival, her friend's in trouble. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so since her friend's in trouble, the best thing to do is to have an intervention in your office.
Absolutely.
And so that's what they do. They call in the Parks Department and Andy to have an intervention. And they start confronting, they're going to confront Ron with what he has done. And Jerry comes a little late, but he was late because he was getting a gift because he thought it was a reception. So
that part made me laugh out loud. It's just, hey, congratulations.
Yes. And in the whole intervention, we have Donna, who's like, I don't even recognize you anymore. I love you like a brother, but right now I hate you like my actual brother, Lavondrius, who I hate. so Donna is like fired up and intense about this. And Tom is just like, look, I think you look really happy and I hope you do well. And they immediately tell him to sit down and shut up. And then Andy stands up, is like, I don't know what's going on here. But follow your dreams.
No matter what, keep going.
Yeah. And then Leslie's like, no. It's like, no, follow your dreams. And then eventually it gets to the point where they play a video for Ron. It's a past Ron talking to future Ron in case of the event of Ron ever falling into the clutches of Tammy again. And so they play the video, and I love Ron. He's like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. And Leslie's response is like, that was you on that video. That was you. You said those things. So,
yeah, we've been through that for a few years. Wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, the world. And then while this is all happening, Anne goes to confront Chris to see why he stood her up for lunch, and then she finds out that April intentionally didn't get the call, and so April is trying to sabotage her job with Chris, because she doesn't want to be doing the work that Chris wants her to do, and so she's trying to ruin that and ruin their relationship between Anne and Chris. It's all wins for April at this point, but instead, Anne, when Chris shows up, Anne is like, yeah, April was really helpful. She even sent flowers, and so she's like buttering up April for her sabotage, and so the tables have turned, and Chris is just delighted. And so cut back to the intervention. This is where they play the video, and then Tammy shows up. And again, I wrote in my notes here, they are gross. And they are talking about plans to start a family and go out to the cabin with just cases of Gatorade and bags of peanuts for energy. And it's all just gross from there. And so they drive everybody out of the office. Andy then comes up to Chris's office with a document from Ron trying to release April for a very important top secret message or project. And then we find out that message is from Burt Macklin. So that always makes me laugh when Burt Macklin shows up. And Chris is like, look, I know what you're trying to do, but I think you have great potential, and I would like you to come and work with me in Indianapolis. And while he's telling April all of this, it cuts to Anne and Andy, who are like, they're the other parts of these relationships here. Anne wants to go to Indianapolis with Chris, and Andy wants April to stay. And so like I thought that was like just a really great like use of the camera in that moment to show their reactions to Chris's like invitation to like help April like become a more prominent figure in his own life and give her opportunity to, advance her career, meet new people, all kinds of good stuff. Yeah, so I thought that was just really great camera work.
Yeah, just show us. It got real. Yeah, in that moment, like everything kind of got real for a second. They're both, a little they're jealous of April, and April's like trying to figure out like, oh wow, okay, and then yeah, it's just an end on like this joke. So
yeah, it's a real intense moment, and so we are kind of left with that hanging. But April's like, I'll think about it. And so then cuts back to the office, and Leslie confronts Tom, like, this is all your fault. And Tom doesn't think it's his fault, but it is. He is just trying to make Tom or Ron jealous because of his relationship with Wendy. And, it's like he doesn't know everything that's going on, that they're breaking up and stuff. And um, so now Tom is like, oh, there's something I got to do to fix this. And then it cuts to Ben bravely going to the police station by himself to go ask to see the chief. Chief calls him Calzone Boy. He's like, how that nickname doesn't stick. And so he goes and asks for the favor to do security. And the chief is just like, yeah, just let me know, like, whatever you need. Leslie gets whatever she wants. And he's like, why? And his response was so great. It just shows us how great Leslie is. She's the kind of person who uses her favors for her friends. She can have as many favors as she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that's awesome. Like, the chief knows Leslie. And so, like, yeah. And Ben is learning a little bit about the quality of Leslie in this town, but also that Leslie used to have a boyfriend named Dave. He's moved to San Diego, and he starts asking about it. And the chief says, what are you, some kind of pervert? So I love that.
No. And then instantly the whole flop sweat thing returns. Like, Ben was doing really good, kind of coming out of his shell, being like, oh, this is going well. Boom. Perfect. No.
Yeah. So
cannot get out of the office fast enough. I love, like, these moments when the chief, especially the chief, who you think is going to, like, deny and be, a hard head and all this stuff, we find out how valuable Leslie is to the really prominent people. But because of her character, like, they'll go out on a limb for her because of how many times she's done it. And I know it's these moments that are the heart of the show that I think attract so many people. Like, you can have a really funny show and all that, but I think the people that I don't know how to say it, like, these are the heartwarming moments that aren't super cheesy, but say, like, oh, this it is about what real people can do and how they can affect those around them. So I just really, really like this moment. And I think it's why it made Parks and Rec so popular. Not this one, but moments like this.
Right. Yeah. These are real people in a real place working together. It's like kind of how they're communicating it. And, like, we all hope that we could have these kinds of, like, people in charge of things, like people with character and optimism. Wouldn't that be cool?
That sounds good. Someday. I like that. Let's do it.
Someday. So it cuts to the library, and Ron and Tammy are there, and they're having a bridal party reception at the library. And, the greatest gift of all is Tammy gets a new library card that says Tammy Swanson, and they laugh, library jokes. And Tom crashes the party. And there's another great camera piece here where it is revealed that Jerry is at this reception eating cake. Like he left the office.
Jerry.
Everybody was like, this is a bad thing, what's happening? But he's like, well, I got him a gift. I'm still going to give him a gift. So, and it's tumblers. It's right from their registry, which is another fun thing that we kind of went over quickly. Like, in the montage of their crazy evening, they did go and register for presents for their wedding.
Right. And
Ron is on the cart, like, being pushed through, like, Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever with that scanner gun, like, giggling profusely. It's great. And so Tom shows up and says, like, this is all my fault. I was just trying to make you jealous. And Tammy's just like, shut up, Glenn. Starts hitting him and just attacking him and beating him up. And Ron intervenes and says, that's enough. Like, this is over. And he picks Tom up and, like, carries him out of the library like a firefighter hero. And I love that. So Ron has a moment of clarity. He sees what Tammy is doing to somebody else, somebody that he cares about, and he has this revelation, like, this is what she wants to do to everybody in her life.
Seeing you pick on this pathetic, defenseless little man, and Tom's like, hey,
yeah, and so Ron takes him out, and maybe that's the end of their relationship, Ron and Tammy. We can only hope.
Hopefully,
it won't be. And then it cuts to Ben and Leslie coming and saying, like, hey, we got the chief to do the security. and little celebration there. And then he's like, hey, you guys, you want to eat? You have getting anything to eat? Like, let's go. And they start making jokes about calzones and how pointless they are. And Ben's response is, I thought that was this calzone place was beat on Dead Horse Avenue. And Leslie's just like, seriously, like, calzones are pointless. And like, just like looks mad and starts to leave. And Ben is like, I don't know what I did, how I offended her. And then she turns around, just kidding, let's go. So they go and have dinner. So this is a relationship
that was funny.
Yeah, this is a relationship that is sparking here to go and have dinner together. And it might seem fast how all of this is happening, because just a few episodes ago, Leslie was telling Ben that he was a monster. Mm-hmm. So big change is happening. But maybe she's seen how sweaty he gets around police, and is like, well, he can't be that bad,
right?
Unless he's a criminal.
Not all sweaty people are criminals.
That's true. And then the credit scene is Tom and Ron having a drink in Ron's office. Talking about the Tammy, and Tom's apologizing, and they're making it right. And Tom says, "These are nice glasses." And he's like, "Jerry got them for me for a wedding present." He's like, "Aren't you going to return them?" He's like, "Too much of a hassle." So, that's the end of the episode. It's such a good episode.
It is a good episode.
And in the IMDb ratings, one user review said a sequel better than its predecessor. And so
from the first Ron and Tammy.
Yeah. So Ron and Tammy episode was crazy. You've seen nothing yet. This episode features a wedding, imprisonment, backstabbing, and cornrows. So, I mean, it's everything you need.
Right.
It was like, it's almost the exact same plot line as Too Fast, Too Furious. So
I guess.
So that's actually where I left off on the Fast and the Furious franchise. I haven't seen any of the others, the Fasters or Furiousers. Just Too Fast, Too Furious. And I think I get it. So
yeah, the last one I didn't even like. It was just all motion blur. Like the whole movie was just, you couldn't even see him.
Was that Fate of the Furious?
I was like Return of the Furious. The Furious Rises. I can't keep up.
Yeah. Anyway, so good episode. Solid storytelling. Ron and Tammy are gross, and that's always going to be the case. I just, even this picture on IMDb
of them in the jail cell.
Yeah, it's like, this is your wedding photo. Like this is what you want. Oh man, so bad. Yeah. Did you have any other trivia from this episode that you saw on the research machine?
Not that. Oh yeah, the one was after Ron Swanson, he shaved his mustache because he had missing mustache bits. Nick Offerman had to wear a fake one for the next 3 episodes. So keep an eye out for that. His fake mustache.
Oh yeah, I never even thought about that. Because you would think they could just take like a week off and he could grow it back, because he seems to be a very swarthy person. So
that means grows hair fast.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I'm not totally sure. I did think that the music selections in this episode are great. So you've got "Don't Fear the Reaper," mm-hmm. which you mentioned in the bar, and while they were in the bar, I was like, this bar has some great music. Like I when I hear that song, like I do think about the cowbell sketch from
Sure.
SNL, but I'm also just like, this is actually kind of like it's a good song.
It is. Yeah, it is a great song. And it's nice when that wasn't, if that wasn't your first exposure to it, was the SNL sketch. So mm-hmm. growing up with, my dad listened to a lot of classic rock. I'm not saying I'm like a huge, BOC fan or anything like that, but, having heard it before, it's like, yeah, this is a good song. And then Will Ferrell and the cowbell just makes it that much better.
Right.
That's my thoughts on that.
Because it does have a bizarrely mixed cowbell in the song. And like, whoever thought, like, they're just like writing sketches for SNL. Like, I'm sure there are a lot of great failures and swings and misses that never even make it to air. But like whoever was like, hey, you guys know the song "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult? I'm like, oh yeah, I know that song. Here, listen to this. They're like, listen, anything stand out to you? Like, yeah, now that you mention it, that's a lot of cowbell.
Whose idea was that to just like make it, just, what this needs? A little bit more cowbell.
Turn it up.
Turn it up. And what if there's like just a cowbell guy? Like if there's just like, that's his job.
Well, according to the sketch, that's exactly what happened.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like as they're writing
have a lot
it,
of songs that feature cowbell.
And we got Christopher Walken this episode, so I think the skit practically wrote itself at that point.
Man, I'm Bruce Dickinson. So the other great songs: "Dancing on the Ceiling," "Run" as they're driving away from the police officers. Police department. He says, "That's our song. Your song is Dancing on the Ceiling." And then we also have "Taking Care of Business" in the bar and "Cradle of Love" by Billy Idol, and "Hey Man, Nice Shot" performed by Filter. And so, yeah. Do you want me to sing it for you? No, I'm not gonna. But yeah, some just like good songs in the background. And this isn't a show that is, highlighting songs very often.
Right.
And so like the use of these songs, I thought was like, this is nice. So they did a good job. Yeah. I don't know what else to hit on this episode. I think maybe we should wrap it up and come back around next week for another conversation about parks. That's why we call this Parks in Conversation.
Yeah. I'll be here. Next week is Media Blitz.
Oh man.
Leslie hits the Pawnee media circuit to promote the Harvest Festival, but Ben freaks out on air when his past is exposed, which is so.
Is this the one where he says, "Listen, everybody's had gay thoughts"?
Yes, I'm almost positive. He just melts, and it just keeps getting worse. It's so great. It's so great. Yeah, Ben is my spirit animal, I think. So, yeah. Meanwhile, April threatens Andy that she'll leave for Indianapolis unless he does her chores. So,
man. Oh, we meet Crazy Ira and the douche. Oh my gosh,
Crazy Ira
and the douche. Man, and the guy who's making all the sound drop. Oh man, so many good things. Matt Besser is a funny person. Yeah. All right. We should stop.
Okay. Well,
I could I'm reading other quotes. So please email us email us parksandconversation@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode, and we'd love to hear from you and share your thoughts on the air. If you have an email that you don't want us to read on air, you should make that very clear. So, yeah. I'll see you later, Jeremy.
I already left.
Oh, what?
Bye.
And came back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bye.